Alright, before today's video, I just want to show you something that is a mild inconvenience. If it wasn't something that had an easy fix, it would piss me off a lot more. But just let me show you what it's like walking out of my bedroom as of right now. Every damn time. Mild inconvenience, the world is full of them. Today's video you might call a minor. Oh, okay, that's just me. It's like somebody's vlogging me from inside my mirror in my bathroom. Anyway, you could call today's story a bit of a, most of these stories I do deal in inconveniences. Some deal in murder, but you know, it takes different strokes. So anyway, you know what? I'm gonna do what I usually do. I'm gonna go outside to finish my intro. Some fresh air and a sense of security from creaking doors. Anyway, it's June 6th, 2021. A new day, a new story for me to you, from the heart, you know, unless I'm phoning it in. But before we get to today's video, remember, as always, you know, if you're new to the channel or just haven't done it yet, remember to like, share, subscribe. That's huge. Hit up my Patreon if you want to help me out that way. The link is in the description with this video, and I'm always posting new stuff there for you in the form of, you know, little podcast things I do, previously unreleased material, old material that I haven't re-released, a lot of extra stuff you can't see unless you join me over there. So, do it. Anyway, also, link to my Instagram and Facebook pages are also in with this description, this little description for this video down below. And all that said, sorry for making you slow down, cars. Not like you get to go places 50 times faster than me. Anyway, I'm stressed. I'm dealing with minor inconveniences in my life. Anyway, let's get to today's video. So speaking of minor inconveniences, which is really everything to this point, my door, my attitude, everything is about minor inconveniences. What is a minor inconvenience? A minor inconvenience is essentially something, you know, you don't really want to deal with, or it's something that puts you out, but it's either a very small thing or something that doesn't really take a lot of time. You know, putting a mask on. I don't even know if this qualifies as a minor inconvenience because it's so easy to do. I guess if it's 100 degrees outside and you're just sucking in hot air, yeah, it becomes a minor inconvenience. But there's people that actively act like this is a traumatic experience. And I'm just like, you're a grown adult, right? Right? You know, a minor inconvenience is, as opposed to other things, something that's, you know, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to affect you horribly mentally or physically. You know, it's not going to come and abduct your children in the night. It's not going to leave you homeless tomorrow. It's not going to rob your bank account. It's not going to make your best friend disappear. Something horrible like that. It's minor. It's a minor thing. It's something you just don't want to deal with. Having to, you know, call the bank because there was some charge on your card that you don't understand. And you got to talk to someone for 3 minutes. Minor inconvenience. So now we firmly established that. This is a story about something that I would qualify as an inconvenience, maybe one step above minor, but this was certainly not something that, you know, as annoyed as I am by loud noises and obnoxious people, this one did not warrant the ultimate conclusion that occurred. So it's June 6th, just many years ago, way back in the early 20s, and the setting is a jail in New York. So the article in question starts with William Owens outwitted Mr. Volstead. And it doesn't elaborate beyond that. That was something that was kind of common in old newspapers. They would tell you something, but then not give you the backstory. So unless you were directly involved, you didn't really know what it meant. So who is Mr. Volstead? I have no idea. He's referenced once in the article as being outsmarted, and then that's it. That's all. So William Owens outsmarted this guy. However, William Owens is referenced in the story because he's just recently been put into a jail cell. So I don't know, maybe outwitting Mr. Volstead meant like he robbed him in the middle of the night or something. And so even though he got caught, I guess this William Owens guy was just still, he was just so elated that he pulled off something. Damned if I'll ever know. And he gets put into a jail cell, and he's just happy-go-lucky, bouncing off the walls, and he's like singing triumphantly, singing at the top of his lungs, and he's singing ceaselessly, which is kind of obnoxious, especially to his cellmate. There's another guy in the cell with him. Owens is sharing his cell with a John Liccato, and unlike the singing, dancing, bouncing Owens, Liccato is not quite as chill with the fact that he's in a jail cell. They don't say what Liccato was there for, but you know, obviously he did something wrong because he's in jail right now. So he's just angry and stressed and bummed and tired, and all he wants to do is just lay down on his metal cot, whatever situation they had set up for them, and he just wants to sleep it off. He just wants to sleep his way through, you know, however long he is in jail for. He just wants to sleep through it and hopefully eventually get back to life outside of a, you know, 15-foot by 15-foot cell or whatever it was. So John Liccato is getting really pissed off, and he's getting real pissed off real quickly because Owens is in the cell and he's making a lot of noise and he's dancing and he's singing and he just keeps on doing it. Now maybe they over-exaggerate how jubilant he was. Maybe Owens was just kind of sitting on the end of his cot and just like, happy days are here again, happy days are here again, you know, while he's sitting in a jail cell, because that's what we're all thinking about. And nobody does anything, you know, no one, it doesn't seem like the, you know, sheriff or officer, whoever's like watching over the jail, you know, nobody says like, hey, Owen, shut your damn mouth. Or if they did, he didn't, and nobody like reprimanded him. So it seems generally he was just allowed to sing. And eventually it becomes nightfall, and, you know, whoever's there in the jail is just kind of left there through the night. And the next morning comes, and finally things are quiet. Finally Mr. Owens has shut his mouth. However, the reason that William Owens was no longer singing the next day, the primary reason he, quote, shut his mouth, is because sometime during the night, John Liccato, who found the fact that he was stuck with a singing fellow cellmate to be a inconvenience, you know, not the fact that he was sharing his cell, but obviously the fact that this guy was singing and annoying him. Sometime during the night, John Liccato literally beat William Owens to death. And when they you know, talked to him, he was quoted in the paper as essentially saying, like, I literally had to beat him to death to shut him up. Now, you know, my experience, a creaking door, every time it happens, I'm just like, stop. It's really annoying and really obnoxious, and it happens every time, even if you don't touch it. The mere fact that you pass the door, it creaks and it drives you nuts every time. Obviously, all we have to do is, you know, liquidate the hinges and the problem's gone. It's, you know, a 5-second solution that I'll get around to sometime the next 6 to 9 months. But you know, that's the thing, is a lot of you know, inconveniences. Like, yeah, is it really obnoxious to be in jail feeling crappy about yourself and there's a guy having the same experience as you and he's happy? Yeah, that's gonna piss you off and drive you nuts, but it's not gonna kill you. It's not going to actually drive you insane, because if that's all it takes to spark you into insanity, newsflash, you already were insane to begin with. And so it sucks having to deal with that, but did it warrant getting beat to death? I don't think so. It reminds me of, this is probably, I saw this 3-4 years ago with my girlfriend, and we still laugh about it and quote it randomly to this day if it's applicable to the situation. So we were watching an episode of Cops, and there's these guys living out of this rat hole hotel in Vegas, some part of Vegas, and the two guys are trying to sleep, and one of the guys is just snoring insanely loud, and the other guy can't sleep. It's kind of similar, this guy's making a bunch of noise and it's driving the guy nuts. So the guy who's being kept awake by the other guy snoring eventually grabs a lamp and smashes it on the guy's head. The police show up, one of the guys is all bloody and beat up, and he explains what happened to the police. He's like, I beat him with a lamp. Officer's like, why did you do that? And he's like, because he was snoring loudly. And he's like, he was snoring loudly, so you beat him with a lamp? Like, do you realize that that doesn't make any sense? Or he said words to that effect. It was one of the funniest things. The officer's like, that doesn't make any sense. But it's kind of the same, it's kind of a story along the same lines in that, and I understand it fully. I hate loud noises. I hate it when people talk really loud. I hate it when people slam doors really loud. I hate it when people speed by me in their little cars. I hate it. Wait, oh, sorry. I was like, what's wrong with my tongue? I had an otter pop a little earlier, and it's staying with me. So I get it. I get it as much as the next person. I hate loud noises. I hate people being obnoxious. If I'm in a jail cell and a guy's next to me laughing and singing, it's cringeworthy material, but I'm not going to beat the guy to death. Now granted, this Liccato fellow, I don't know what he was in jail for. He could have easily been a rageaholic. Most men were back then. I hesitate to say were, as though that's not a common thing today. So, obviously John Liccato had it in him to fly off the handle in rage, instigated by relatively small things. The inconvenience of having to deal with a cellmate who was okay and was going to keep singing even though he was locked down. So it's a bit of a shocker. You show up back at the jail the next morning, there's John Liccato just kind of sitting there like probably the most at peace he's been in the past day. He's finally got some peace and quiet, and there's just a crumpled up body like laying on the ground in front of you. Yeah, that would there's some drama going on over here. Some guy screaming and throwing stuff. I'm out of here. Next thing you know, that guy's gonna yell, shut up. That's what's coming up down the pike. And Liccato, I think, felt vindicated. He felt justified. He was like, hey, I told him to shut up. I said, shut up or I'll kill you. But Owens was either too jubilant or just didn't care, didn't believe the guy. Granted, considering the time and place, it would also not surprise me. It didn't say so in the article. Granted, usually if this was the case, they would say so in simple black and white. It's possible that William Owens was drunk. Lots of people that were thrown in the clink. Lots of times they were drunk, whether that was the reason they were arrested or it just happened to be like they got drunk and did something else that they also got in trouble for. I'm getting drunk vibes, like this guy's like, I did it. I'm the greatest in the world. I love my life. And John Liccato's sitting there like, I'm gonna murder someone tonight. And he did, whether he realized that was how his night was going to end. Everybody's got their limit. And, some guys like John Liccato, their limit is probably a little further down here, as opposed to more tolerant levels up here. So that's what happened on this day in history. Many, many years ago, a guy paid the ultimate price with his life because he wouldn't shut up. That's probably not the only time someone's been killed for not shutting up. Anyway, that is today's story. A story about minor inconveniences, and a particular inconvenience that drove a guy to murder. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Even though it was about a man getting beaten to death, try to take some dark comedy away from it. Remember that I'm dealing with a door issue at home, so I'm not in my right mind right now. But anyway, in all seriousness, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for supporting the series. Thank you for supporting me. And if you're new or you just haven't done it yet, remember to like the video, share my stuff around. If you want to subscribe to my channel, help it grow. My Patreon is there for your perusal. You know, even if you give me just $1 a month, you'll have access to a bunch of other stuff that I have posted there and will be posting there. The link to my Patreon is in the description with this video, as well as the links to my Instagram and Facebook pages, closely related to the content I'm posting here on my channel, Steve the Amateur Historian. And all that said, I am Steve, and I'll see you tomorrow.